Ladies and gentlemen, in the early days of November, the Caribbean region is witnessing one of the most complex and intense weather episodes since Hurricane Melissa. A strong tropical wave is moving across the western Caribbean Sea, combined with an active monsoon trough in Central America, causing thunderstorms to increase rapidly on a wide scale. Many island nations and coastal areas have experienced heavy downpours, strong gusty winds, frequent lightning, and the risk of flooding is trending upward over the next 48 hours. At the same time, from the North Atlantic, a mass of cold air is pushing southward, creating a stationary front stretching across the northern Bahamas and the Yucatan Peninsula, making the atmosphere more unstable while allowing bands of convection to develop more strongly in the coming days. All these factors are putting the entire Caribbean into a period of humid, complex weather with many risks of heavy rain, flash floods, and landslides. Currently, the most active core of the tropical wave lies over the western Caribbean, extending north-south from the southern Gulf of Honduras to the waters of Costa Rica and Panama. Thick convective cloud bands, energized by strong moisture inflow from the south, are producing extremely heavy rainfall over many coastal areas. The latest satellite imagery shows highly developed convective clusters covering the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica, and the Central American coastline. This is a typical late-season tropical wave, often carrying massive moisture and capable of causing prolonged rainfall for many days. Sea surface temperatures in the region remain high, from 30 to 34 minutes, providing additional energy for convection to develop, and this makes rainfall more likely to persist, especially with added interaction from the cold front pushing down from the north. In the Cayman Islands, the weather from this morning to this afternoon has recorded numerous rounds of severe thunderstorms. Gusts over 50 km/h, at times exceeding 60 km/h in Grand Cayman, while lightning has been frequent across the area. Estimated rainfall over the past 24 hours has reached 80 to 100 mm, causing localized flooding in many low-lying streets. Experts forecast that thunderstorms will continue through the end of tomorrow, then gradually decrease as the tropical wave shifts farther west. At the same time, Costa Rica and Panama are the region's heavy rain epicenter. A vigorous southwesterly monsoon combined with a tropical wave has sent rainfall totals in these two countries soaring, with some places reaching 150 to 200 millimeters in just one day. Many localities in Panama City, Colón, and San Jose have had to issue widespread flood and landslide warnings. Steep terrain and weak drainage systems make the risk of flash floods and slope failures in the central mountainous slopes particularly worrisome. In the northern part of Central America, including Honduras, Nicaragua, and Belize, rain began appearing from noon today and tends to spread. However, affected by a layer of mid-level dry air, the rain is localized and does not last all day. Forecasts for the next 2 days indicate that rainfall along the Honduran coast and offshore islands such as Roatan and Utila will increase slightly, while interior regions will have intervals of clearing. On Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the weather trends differently. Tourist hubs like Cancun, Cozumel, and Mérida are receiving dry, cool air from the northern cold mass, so skies are mostly clear with little rain and intermittent sunshine. But farther south, especially in Tulum, Chetumal, and Belize City, conditions differ. Here, persistent humidity and weak convergence remain, so showers and thunderstorms may still occur in the late afternoon, though totals are not too high. In Jamaica, which has just endured the disaster of Hurricane Melissa, the weather these days has become more pleasant. Rainfall has dropped markedly, appearing only scattered over western areas such as Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. James. A few afternoon storms pop up primarily to break the heat, but overall, Jamaica is entering a drier phase. This is a positive signal for post-storm recovery operations. However, experts still warn of landslide risks in the western and northwestern highlands, where soils have been waterlogged for a long time and could fail at any moment if heavy rains return. In Cuba, rain is most concentrated in the western part of the island, especially around the capital Havana and neighboring provinces. The reason is a cold front from the north stalling here, creating conditions for localized showers and thunderstorms to develop. Meanwhile, eastern Cuba, previously heavily affected by Melissa, has gradually dried out and stabilized, helping people gain more time to restore livelihoods. As for the Bahamas, a cold trough is also moving down from the north, bringing cool, dry air. Before this front stalls, the weather here is quite pleasant. Light sunshine, cool northeasterly winds, and low humidity. But in the next 24 hours, when the front becomes stationary and converges with tropical moisture advecting from the south, rain will begin to return to Grand Bahama, the Abacos, Andros, Nassau, and part of New Providence. At night and in the morning, brief showers may extend to the Exumas, Long Island, and Cat Island, making conditions more humid. On the island of Hispaniola, including Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the situation has somewhat improved. After many days of floods, rainfall has now decreased significantly, with only a few localized afternoon showers. However, flood and landslide warnings are still in effect, particularly in southwestern Haiti and around Santo Domingo, where ground conditions remain weak. If the drying trend continues over the next 2 days, many areas may see warnings lifted by mid-November. In Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, a weak trough is moving through, producing a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. Tuesday is forecast to be the day with the highest rain probability. Then totals quickly decrease from Wednesday onward. Easterly winds blowing 20-25 km/h cause slight seas, waves 2 to 3 meters, so maritime activities should pay attention to safety. Farther south, the islands of Guadeloupe and Dominica have a higher chance of rain, with probabilities from 40 to 50%. Meanwhile, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, Grenada, and Trinidad and Tobago will mostly see brief showers or localized thunderstorms, primarily at night and early morning. For most of the daytime, conditions are dry with intermittent sunshine. In the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao, the weather is the best in the Caribbean. Plenty of sunshine, light winds, no rain. However, forecast models show that around Thursday, a weak moisture plume from the south will surge northward, bringing back scattered showers. While Caribbean countries are monitoring a new round of rainfall, the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa has not subsided. According to updated figures, Melissa, once a Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, has caused at least 60 fatalities across the Caribbean. Specifically, Jamaica recorded 32 victims, Haiti at least 30, the Dominican Republic 4, and Panama 2 cases. Beyond the loss of life, tens of thousands of homes were destroyed, and power and roads in many localities have not been fully restored. International and regional relief organizations are rushing to supply food, clean water, and medicines. The bulletin offers heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and calls on Caribbean residents to remain vigilant against successive post-storm rains, as weakened ground can easily trigger a return of flash flooding. For the 7 to 10-day outlook, forecast models such as ECMWF and GFS both suggest the possibility of a new low-pressure disturbance forming in the Western Caribbean around November 9th to 12th. The cause is the Central American monsoon trough, tending to lift its axis northward, meeting oceanic moisture to create a strong convergence area. If this occurs, a lower weak vortex is likely to appear near Honduras, Nicaragua, Cayman, bringing widespread heavy rain. However, at present, there are no signals indicating the formation of a strong storm. Both the European and American models point out low confidence, and if a vortex forms, it would also be weak to moderate in nature. That said, the worrying factor is that sea surface temperatures in this area remain very high, from 30 to 30 Newton. Enough energy for a weak disturbance to intensify rapidly if it encounters favorable conditions. Therefore, the period from November 5 to 15 still needs close monitoring, especially in countries like Jamaica, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and along the Central American coast. Outside the Caribbean, another notable meteorological phenomenon is occurring over the North Atlantic. A strong low-pressure system is rapidly developing off Canada and is called a weather bomb, a bomb cyclone, because its central pressure drops by more than 24 millibars within just 24 hours. Forecasts indicate that over the next 48 hours, this system will move across Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, producing heavy rain from 30 to 75 millibars, locally over 100 meters, accompanied by winds over 100 km/h, especially in the St. John's area and the Avalon Peninsula. Sea waves rising from 4 to 6 meters will severely affect maritime traffic, with many ferries and fishing vessels likely having to suspend operations. The risk of power outages due to gusty winds and falling trees is very high, particularly tonight and early tomorrow morning. This is considered the strongest storm of November for Canada's eastern seaboard. Returning to the Caribbean, overall, over the next 5 to 7 days, the heaviest rainfall core will remain in the west, including the Cayman Islands, Panama, Honduras, Belize, and western Cuba, along with part of the northern Bahamas. The eastern Caribbean islands such as Guadeloupe, Dominica, and St. Lucia may see localized showers, but overall the weather is more stable, favorable for tourism and maritime activities. The Caribbean's rainy season typically lasts until mid-November, after which the frequency of tropical cyclones drops sharply. However, this year, meteorologists warn of a possible season extension because seawaters are still very warm. Therefore, people should not be subjective, but should closely follow warnings from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, and local meteorological agencies. Concluding today's bulletin, it can be affirmed that the Caribbean is entering a highly volatile transition season. On one side is tropical humidity, on the other is a northern cold air mass, and where these two streams meet, thunderstorms will continue. People in low-lying areas along rivers and streams and in mountainous regions need to be particularly vigilant for flash floods and landslides, especially on November 5th and 6th when the tropical wave still exerts its influence. We will continue to monitor and update the latest developments if there are signs of a new low or tropical vortex forming in the Western Caribbean. If you find this bulletin useful, please press like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to avoid missing the latest weather forecasts. You can also send images, videos, or questions about local weather conditions via the program's email address, or leave a comment below. We are always ready to listen to your feedback. Thank you for watching. Wishing you a peaceful day, good health, and always being proactive in the face of weather changes. This is the Weather Bulletin produced by Weather Today. Goodbye and see you again in the next bulletins.